That same mark we threw. There. This is all this is water. That right there would be a very difficult marking scenario in a master test. A good one, a fair one, but very difficult. Okay? So, we know that would be a good master test. What if you walk out here and you see a training group that you're going to train with to set that up and they run it as a triple? You're not going to gain a damn thing by running this as a triple. How can you break it down and teach the dog how to do it correctly? Run them in singles in the order you would pick them up as marks. So this is our go bird. I'm going to run it first. So I'm looking for this dog to go down here, clip this water, and go to the bird. What are some of the issues the dog can have on that mark? They shouldn't cheat it because there's all this crap on the left side they have to get in the water. But what they may do is they may get in and try to cave into this gun. So we'll just have a marker in our mind of what's acceptable. And we'll make them do that mark correctly. So if we did that one as our go bird, my second one I'm going to pick up is a mark we just ran over here. Why? They're not, this is the longest mark over here. But that's not really the reason why I'm doing it.
If you send them back for the right-hand mark, they'd be more inclined to go back to that old fall, right?
You're more inclined to go back there right now. Yep. So I'd run this mark right here next. And you're going to have your same markers of what you expect the dog to do. Okay? And then I'd throw this mark as a single. That's the hardest mark of the whole one to do it right. I'm going to put me a marker right there. Anything on that side is unacceptable of it. Okay? You cannot throw that as a triple and have a standard of what we're talking about right there. You cannot do it. It is not fair to the dog. So what you'll see out of the people that run the triple, these dogs are going to get out a little early, hunt around there and get it. You're going to have dogs, if they get wet on this memory bird, they're going to get wet in here and they're going to go under the arc and they're going to hunt around and find it. And then the dogs that do swim past the gun over here, they're going to hunt all around in here and eventually hunt out to the point and get it. Sure, that's passable work at a master test, but did you teach the dog a damn thing today? Absolutely not. All you did was go through the mechanics of the test. Any questions on that?
Clark, do you hold the line on every mark you throw in this scenario?
Absolutely. As a single, yes, absolutely. Yep. If we deviate our standards, the dog will never understand what it is expected to do. For example, a creeping dog. If today I let him creep, tomorrow I kick his ass for it, did he really understand what was acceptable? No. Because today you let him do it. The next day you didn't. He's going, well, crap. What do you want me to do? Standard has to stay the same. Any questions on what we've run just a second ago? All right, so if we put a blind in this scenario, if I'm training in this scenario, my blind's going to be back here. I'm going to go under the arc of that fall. You'll never see that in a weekend master test because you don't have enough time. But when I'm training, I'm going to do it. I'm going to over prepare. Especially if I've only got 1 or 2 dogs, I got all the time in the world. Now, what blind would you probably see in that scenario with the a master dog, probably just for time and also to make this mark harder, they would just probably set one right there on the back side of that gun. They'd just have someone put one out.
And it wouldn't be hot.
No, but the fact that it's there, this is what's crucial. The fact that it's there, the dogs that cave in right here and don't go to that point, they're screwed. The gig is up. Now you're gonna have to handle there. That's why it's so important that we teach them to go to the bird. Because the dogs that swim past that gun to the tip of the point and get that bird, they're gonna get it without a handle. The dogs that get out early and hunt around the gun, if they get out early, what's their first move gonna be?
Towards the gun.
Hunt toward the gun.
Yeah.
If they hunt toward the gun and they get behind it, they're gonna smell this blind. Guess what? Now you're in a world of trouble. Because now you got to cast them away from where they already want to be, and they're in bird scent, and you got to trash them to the end of the point that they already don't want to go to.
So what happens if you're dog 30 or something like that, but they're not making it hot while you run the mark, but on the last mark, the blind gets put out.
Mhm.
And are they going to have the same trouble?
They're going to have more trouble because there's going to be more scent where they planted that bird. Dog 1's not going to have as much scent, but dog 30, there's a lot. Now, if you get in this situation, let's talk about handling a little bit in a test. If your dog was to get in that situation and it hunts over here near that blind, how are we going to handle it?
In the test.
Are we going to try to handle from here that way?
No. Get 'em back in the
Absolutely not. You're going to fail because you're going to get cast refusal after cast refusal after cast refusal.
Okay.
Call them back into the water a good 15 to 20 yards. Stop them and then start working your way there.
Now, what would happen if the judge says you're not challenging the blind? You're not making.
Then we're not running the blind. We're running the mark.
Remember, it's a
Sorry,
mark.
sorry.
We're running the mark.
I thought we were running the blind. You're right.
You're in the blind.
Because if you start trying to cast from here, they're just going to keep hunting that.
Yeah, you gotta get them out of here.
Call them back into the water. Get them away from where they want to be. And then start working on it there. It's the same situation on land. I see this so much. If we're running a landmark, here's our line. Dog gets out there, and let's say it gets over here behind the gun and it's hunting. And they stop them. People try to handle from there to there. An advanced dog is not going to take a 50-yard left over. Stop trying to do it because you're getting cast refusal after cast refusal. Call them into you, even if they come here. And then work your way over there. You can get them there, but you can't get them there from that situation. Does that make sense? So if you show up to a training group and they have a triple set up, doesn't mean you have to run the triple. This is not a competition. Do what you need to do to teach your dog and make it better that day. Running the triple is not going to make him any better. And you can't hold them to the standard that we're wanting to hold running that multiple. Any questions? See a lot of people writing, but no questions. All right. Mark, the tip of the point. What was our line to the long mark yesterday? The tip of the point. You see that consistency here? Why am I not going to throw this mark right now? Tip of the point's the hardest one. Yes, we have some dogs that we would do this with. And if I did that, I'd throw this mark first to make this mark more difficult. But what we've got in the majority of these dogs, we got to get them going to the tip of the point first. Never, ever, ever am I going to throw this mark here for a dog until I can consistently get that mark right there. Why? It's the hardest one. Right there. I'm making my job of teaching them to be able to get this mark 10 times harder if I throw that one first.
Buck, what's the best way for people to understand the harder mark?
The harder mark of the two. Okay, that's a good question. How do you understand which is the hardest? Okay, so if we look at these two marks here, dogs naturally want to get out of the water, correct? So which mark takes the most water to do correctly? that one, okay? Why does this mark make this mark harder?
Suction.
Suction. We let them get out of the water here early. We already let them get out early. Now we're asking them to swim all the way to the tip. What are the ways you make marks hard? Hard to get to or hard to find? Which one of these two is harder to get to? That one right there.
So with that one, you'll want to make it real easy for them to find that.
Yes,
First.
yes.
So is that going to be splash or just
Nope.
on bare ground?
Now,
so they can see
with the young dogs, when they first start this mark, I'm going to splash a white bumper at the very tip of this point to make it very black and white as to what I want. All right. As they understand that more, like right now, there's a lot of cover out there on that tip. A lot. We're just going to put like 10 bumpers around right there. As long as they get there, phew, there it is. Now, if there was no cover on that point whatsoever, what I expect that dog to enter is at the very tip, get out is at the very tip of the point. We are compounding the factors by that cover being where it is. Why? That cover is taller than the dog. All right. If you go to land, throw a mark right here. There's a hay bale right there. What are the dogs going to do? They're gonna. If we're here, they're going to run and they're going to go here. They're going to go here. Dogs don't naturally like to run at an object, face the tree or whatever. Okay. That's the exact same thing. That cover. Right? So with that being said, and we're teaching here, we got all these bushes here. My acceptable entry point is going to be a little further left than it would have been if those willows weren't on the end of that tip of that point. Does that make sense to you guys? You're asking a lot of a young dog to push into those willow trees and get that bird. So keep in mind with every obstacle, start learning how to identify factors that are involved. Now, things like this, if you start throwing a lot of marks at an object, dogs will start to run at them and get it. But you're never going to teach them to get that by using pressure or handling. Just have to show them it more.
Is that Carol Cassidy's where she throws the bumper on the other side of the blind to make them run towards the blind? There's a drill for that somebody teaches.
I don't know about that. I've never seen Carol Cassidy's. I will show you a drill that.
Have you seen that where the last mark you get, they just literally stand up outside the holding blind and throw it out. And then
I would never.
one goes here, then they literally drop it right
So,
outside. Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's wrong at all. It may work for her.
Yeah,
But never, ever, ever do I want my dog running straight at a holding blind on a mark.
right? I never
Ever.
understood why it's a thing.
Now I'll show you something that is very hard, and we work on this. We do this drill every day before we leave for an SRS. It's just a poison bird blind drill, and you talking about it going in front of a holding blind made me think about it. Here's our holding blind. Got a blind here, blind over here. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to drop a bumper right there, and we're going to run a blind to that. And the dogs aren't going to run at it. They're going to go here, they're going to go here, and we're just going to cast them to it. No pressure whatsoever. The dog's not going to want to run there before we ever throw a mark. We're going to throw a mark here. We're going to leave it laying and run the blind. And we're not going to pick that up yet. We're going to throw a mark here, and then we're going to run a blind outside the fall. Then we're going to pick the two up. It's just a poison bird drill. And all that's for, that is a very difficult blind to run. You'll see in field trials sometimes they'll have a guy sit in a white coat and they'll drop a bumper at their feet and they'll just sit down. And you would be shocked how hard it is to finish that blind. They don't, because they've been taught their whole life not to run at a gun. The only time I ever want them to run at a gun is if I'm telling them to run at a gun by casting. That's what we're doing with the very first blind we run there. That is just a little poison bird drill that Lyle and I do before we leave to go to any SRS right there. Because poison birds are so crucial in the SRS. But you have zero business doing this until you've done what? You've completed foreface. You will fry that dog's brain on that. So would I ever throw a mark in front of the home blind? No. Would I do that? Yeah. But I would cast them to it. I wouldn't ask them to run a mark toward it.
That would be all attrition to get them in there?
Yeah, all attrition. No pressure whatsoever. Why would I not give any pressure? What have we taught this dog its whole life? Don't run toward the gun. So am I justified in giving it pressure? No, because it's not wanting to go there because I made it not want to go there. Just use attrition. In this scenario, we're going to get a good at water entry on pretty much every dog because there's really nowhere else to go. All that decision-making process is going to start somewhere right in here. That's where things are going to start to either be really good or really bad. What you're going to see is some of the dogs are going to try to go behind the gun. A lot of them are going to try to get out right here even with a gun. I highly doubt we're going to see anybody do this mark correctly today. And this is why. It has nothing to do with your dogs. If I brought my whole crew of 24 master dogs out here today, throwing that as a single, as what my standard is, I might have 6 do it right out of 24. The way I want to see them to do it. It's just a difficult mark. So how are we going to handle this? If they get out here or here, what are we going to do? We're going to stop them. We're not just going to call them here and cast them. We're going to bring them all the way back in here. We're going to give a straight right back cast. Now what you may see, the dog that got out over here the first time, he's going to probably get out here the next time. What are we going to do? Stop. No, here. We're going to do it again. When we see that dog commit to get over here, you may see some dogs go, you know what? I'm not going to go anywhere near that land at all and go here. If they do that, we're just going to let them get past the point, give them a hey and get the bird. You can see we've got a ribbon out there of what's acceptable on that mark.
Oh, okay.
We need to be right of that mark, of that ribbon.
If you bring them back to that point and then they take to sea and they go out to the ocean, is that a hey moment too?
All right, that's a good question. If I call them back here and I give them a right back and they go this way,
Yeah.
I'm just going to stop and give a straight left back.
Okay, so you will handle them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see what we get out of that.
Is it like a zone we're trying to get them into making that commitment before we help them?
Yes, yes. Now, if we get this, the dog's going like way out here to water, I'll just have the gunner throw another bird when it gets somewhere over in here, over there to get it.
We're waiting till they get on land? Or
Yep, until they get out on land.
Okay.
Why are we waiting for them to get on land? We want them to commit to a decision.
And you're allowed to give collar pressure if they ignore the sit.
Yes,
They ignore the whistle.
100% yes.
Okay.
Now, the younger dogs that have not done this a lot, I'm not going to use any collar pressure other than if they don't sit right here at all. Flurry, male, a dog like that, when they get out here, there's going to be a correction immediately involved with it. Why?
Because they know better.
Their level of understanding is higher. So our standard should be higher. There has to be more of a consequence for that action. The young dog, we've never taught how to do this, right? So we can't hold them to that same standard, and we for sure can't punish them for it because they don't know any better.
But you can correct for not sitting.
Yes, you can correct if they don't sit, yes. Yeah.
You're going to be throwing to the pile on the
Yes.
point?
The
The reason you got a bunch of them is so it's a gift when they get
yes, once they do everything right, wham, there it is.
That's just hard cover.
If you throw that further out than you wanted them,
No, that's fine. That's where I want it.
That pile out there with it being light, hard to
It's going to help.
Yeah, it helps.
Kind of like that bucket would have.
It's going to help a lot.
It helps him for
First,
sure.
I'm going to take that away, and then do you want to push them back so that you can't see them?
Yeah, we'll do that on the next time.
So look at, you can still cave.
He's still thinking about caving, though.
Ronnie's making this look real easy.
He is.
That's okay.
He's thinking about squaring.
Now, what is another blind that I could run in conjunction with this? If I have a dog that I know is bad about getting out of the water on that point,
Run right over that.
run past the point to the right.
To the right, yeah.
Oh, to the right.
If they're bad about getting out of the water and you know that's the problem your dog has,
Oh, they want to get out.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you could run a blind over there to the right.
Oh, it's right there.
Good boy.
Now, what is something I can do in my blinds to help me be more successful at this? I'm a big advocate of pattern blinds. One of my best friends says that I'm the pattern blind Nazi because I believe in them. I believe in running a lot of pattern blinds. I do a set of water patterns with all my young dogs, and one of them is past a point similar to this with a big white bucket. So before I've ever asked them to do a mark like this, they've swam past a point 75 times. That helps them to be more successful when we start throwing this mark.
Do you run big, long water pattern blinds, or are they
Yes.
somewhat?
Yes. I do two different sets of pattern blinds with dogs. I will start short with visual concepts. A channel, down the shore, past a point, short. My next step, 150 to 200 yards.
And why is that?
Because I want them to carry that confidence in that same decision. Just because my dog can do a down the shore water blind of 50 yards does not mean he's going to commit to swim 175. A lot of times they'll get in and swim 100 and go, oh, I'm tired of swimming. Whoop, now I'm getting out.
So it's also endurance, right?
It's endurance. Go ahead and send it.
Tighter.
That was further left than the other two. Why? I pushed over. We've got this water, this cover that pushed him more left off the send.
Now he just turned his head slightly to the left, like
Mhm.
that.
Now, a lot of the reason why these dogs are doing this better, the last 3 marks they've seen have all been about staying in the water to get the bird, right? So they're starting to process this stuff.
He's stopping. Yep. You want the bird. Go ahead, hey.
Just give him a hey, hey, hey. Throw him another bumper out there.
He wanted a bird.
So what do you do with a dog like that, Carl?
Nothing. Just get him back over there and get it. What cardinal sin am I going to get onto him for?
Nothing. Not touching.
No, I just he wanted a bird.
Just looking for a mark.
He was right there. Yeah, boy, yeah, good boy.
I wouldn't do anything about it. I'd just get him.
He is thinking. So we call it if he goes over there.
He has not fully. Oh, there's the commit. Do you see how these dogs are thinking so much more? All right. Tweet. Tweet.
No, here. No, here.
Let him keep on swimming back to you. Here.
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 The moment you see him start to turn to go back, just say here.
Here.
Tweet. Straight right back. Verbal. All right, tweet. Straight left back with a verbal.
Left. Maybe. Nope.
Hang on. All right, but you could see initially that brain was turning the whole way. We did not do anything until we let it commit to making the wrong decision. His brain was still turning when we cast him. All right, I want to repeat that now and see how that dog reacts to it. We're going to repeat that mark for this dog. All right. Let's talk about something else we can see with dogs in water. There are some dogs that are more prone than others for inhaling a lot of water. All right. I like to burp them if they're bad about that. Say this dog came back and had a belly full of water. I'm going to take the bird. I'm going to grab its belly. Right back here. Get up under the bottom of it. And just gently pull up and shake it until they burp. Just get the gas out of them. Yeah, just squeeze it and pull up.
Yeah, don't
You
in
think
and
he
out.
needs
It's
that?
just constant pressure.
Yeah, just constant pressure. Just kind of shake it a little bit, bounce them, get them to burp before you send them for the next mark.
And you'll see water come out? Or
Sometimes you'll see water, sometimes they'll just burp and you'll see them, that bloat will go down. All right.
There you go. Look at that. I know he's got a great entry. He's very stylish. He is very stylish.
Now if this dog was to get out at the same spot, I would give a light correction with it, light collar correction.
What's the start name? Start name.
Don't-
Blue? And nice one.
My daughter named him.
There he goes. Yoo-hoo! He's confident.
I know he's got a lot in him. I just need to know how to get it out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Good boy. Come on.
Can I take two? You take two, you'll be following my wife.
Good job.
All right. Happy bumper for him?
Yes, absolutely. All right, so we've had multiple dogs do this mark correctly over here. Now the next dog that's coming up has master passes. His understanding is much higher than the young dogs, correct? So we're going to increase the difficulty of that mark simply by changing the angle of that point that going away from us. So now we're going to move and make this dog swim past the gun all the way to the tip of the point. It's going to increase the difficulty a lot. Ready, Margot? See just how hard I can make it on you.
You want me to go?
No, you can't keep it or we'll let us get it. Right here. Is that all tadpoles in there? Is that leeches?
Huh?
You know, there's tadpoles in the water.
Yeah. Yeah, fine. Now!
But a oh. Wow.
Will he get a correction?
Yes.
This, no.
Yep.
No, here.
Yep.
And then I'm going to bring him back.
Halfway. Mm-hmm. Be ready. Tweet. Burn. No here.
No, here!
Let him keep coming.
Now, will he get a bumper phone if he takes the right test? No.
We'll see how he reacts.
Okay.
Stop. Straight right back.
Look!
He's still.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll refill it from here.
Ooh.
A little higher.
Uh-huh. Tweet, tweet, tweet. No here, no pressure, no here.
No, here!
All right, why am I recalling him right there?
No, here!
He didn't get out of the water, but he caved into it. Once their feet get under him like that, it is no different than them being out of the water. Keep on calling him in. Now he winded all those bumpers the gunner had. Tweet.
Up! I run that blind, and it's right over where he's going.
Okay. I'm going to tell you what Mr. Hugh Arthur told me about that. You mean to tell me they remember something they did 4 days ago and they can't remember the mark they just saw fall? That's okay.
Maybe not.
All right,
Good boy!
we're going to repeat that. One more throw. All right. I'm going to tell you something that Miss Margot just said that was part of the factor on her dog. She said, I run a blind a lot of the time across the point where he was trying to go to. You know what Mr. Hugh Arthur would say about that? You mean to tell me that dog remembers something it did 10 days ago and it can't remember the bird it just saw fall? Just deal with what you got. And I made the same excuse, and that's the answer I got. So.
But you got to take into account the Margot factor.
True. They won't be able to do it at the test.
You can just see the ripples on the water now.
Yeah.
The way it's flowing.
He may not be able to see it from his vantage point, though. But his intent when he left was not going left this time. He may still do it. Now, if he goes left, I don't want you to let him get it. I ain't, no, that's fine. Yep.
Good boy!
All right, we're going to take a 30-minute break for lunch. It's the first time I've ever had Santa Claus throw marks for me. I'm sorry. It's the first time I've ever had Santa Claus throw marks for me. Oh, she's thinking. Oh, wow. Tweet. Tweet. No.
No! Here! Here! Here!
Tweet. Just tweet.
Here! Here!
So, Oh, coming.
Here.
All right, now.
Right.
Yep, straight right back. Step with it a little bit.
Back.
Let her go. Hey, Biff, can you give me a hey, hey, and throw a bird in just a second? Just go ahead and be ready for it. Give me a hey, hey, and throw it. There we go. All right, so let's talk about something we just had happen right here. That dog, when we stopped it and called it back in, it went into kind of hunting. And then we kept saying here, tweet, tweet, here, tweet, tweet. When they start hunting, sit, tweet. Sit them down. Stop everything that's going on in that dog's mind. If it doesn't sit, tweet Nick. Don't continue going here, tweet, 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 here, tweet. The definition of an insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. That dog was not going to do anything different. So if they do that, tweet, sit them. If they don't sit, tweet Nick. Make them sit. Make them sit there for just a second, and then call them into you. Stop what they're doing. Get their attention, and then call them back into you. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right, we're going to rethrow that mark for her.
Come on, Maddie.
Hey, I've got an idea. If we do the seminar for the hunt test guide in the winter, like in December, can I get Biff to come down and wear a Santa Claus suit and throw marks for me?
If you fly him, he'll go anywhere you want. You gotta feed him. Ready?
Here comes Santa Claus.
We're running a master test, and he was throwing a death root over this. A freaking dog came out and looked at him. And perfect for like Superman on the.
Now you can see that dog is clearly looking left. It's thinking about it, but it's going to go all the way to the point there. She's wanting to go left, but she's talking herself into going straight.
Yep, she's looking. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
There it is. Good job.
Good dog. Good dog. Good, Maddie.
Woo. Woo. I just cringed right there. I thought this was about to be really bad.
He's gonna think about making a poop in here.
So we're gonna let him, his feet touch the bank.
Yeah, let him, as soon as his feet get out.
And we're gonna correct the first time? Or you
With
want
him, yes.
This Nick here.
Yep, low Nick. Tweet Nick, no here. Be ready as soon as he comes out. Now.
No, here! Here! No, here! Here!
You can tell he has a loud whistle. Woo. God dang.
Wayne Wild, not me.
All right, stop him. Let him make a decision. Be ready. He's going to probably cave in again. I'm going to get behind you. Be ready. And now.
No, here!
He said, well, God dang, I took a little more.
There? I'll probably learn all that.
Come on in. Tweet. Straight right back.
No, the other tile point. That's what you want.
Just let him go. All right, we're going to repeat that with that dog once he gets back.
Here! Hi. The first 10 steps.
We're completely different this. Makes Now, another thing that would make this more difficult, these bushes over here to the left are helping these dogs start right to begin with.
Here!
If they weren't there, you would see more dogs getting in the water running straight at the gun. So keep that in mind. So you can make it more difficult finding a spot to where there's nothing influencing them to go right from the start.
Clark, why did you not run this dog from where we ran now?
He's not all he's got is a senior. Has he got a senior pass yet? I mean, he was just starting serious cheaty water work when he left. Send her. Send her.
Where?
She may try to swim past the point.
Is that because the bumper's a little further on the edge of that?
Well, just because she's had so much cheating water work here lately.
Heavy on water?
She is a cheater.
Not anymore.
No, but she was.
Keep looking at the gunner.
A lot of good food. A lot. Well, they were nesting over there.
Just let her go. Give me a hey, 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 please, Biff. Again? Again? Don't do anything. Grab another bumper for me, Biff. As soon as she looks at you, throw it.
She's coming.
All right, never mind. Just stop. We're good. We're good, Biff. She's coming back to you. Why did that dog do that right there?
Yeah. Did she mark off of that other shrub?
Nope.
Trying to get away from the point. Trying to get away from the land.
She's overthinking it. Is there anything I would get onto that dog for right there? Absolutely not. So, in this scenario, if I have a training set up and we're talking about incorporating blinds with marks, and I had a blind set up past the point and one that goes under the arc that's going to the corner of the pond, which blind am I going to run with her? Crossing the point. Why? Because I want to balance out the fact that she's being over watery. Now, I would much rather see a dog over watery in training than under watery. Why? Because more than likely when I go to run that test, I'm not going to get as much out of her there. She probably would have got that mark just fine. In training, they're always going to be thinking more.
Here, don't go across the... Okay.
Get that one down. Would you set up the one inside by itself or with both?
Okay, good question. Once we've got that mark down really well, he asked would we set up this other mark here. I wouldn't just yet. Until I can move over here and get that mark correctly, I wouldn't. Because we're just adding more difficulty to going to the tip of the point. Until we can get to that tip of the point, every time by increasing the difficulty, I wouldn't add this mark. Now once we can, we'll start out from the same spot. We'll throw this mark first as a single, then run that. By throwing this as a single, it's going to influence the dogs to get out early on this one. Now, as we can do those better as singles, we're going to increase the difficulty the same way by scooting around here. That's going to make this mark more difficult because you're going to have to cut a corner. It's also going to make this mark more difficult, making them want to get out too.
But you would build this short mark the same. You're gonna
Yes.
have that point where you can
Same
knock it
thing.
out of the
Yep. Every watermark you throw should have a point that is acceptable for the dog to get out at. Anything inside of it, you're not going to allow. If you keep this standard day in, day out, what you're going to see is your dogs, as they learn more and more and more, they're not even going to think about getting out over there by that gun. Then what you're going to see, if you come to a master test, they move the line over here, and you're in the third series and they just throw a double, you're going to look at that, that's just a double. But if they move that line over there, that's a hell of a double. There's going to be a lot of people that handle on it. And that judges go, man, your dog is a great marking dog. No, my dog's well trained is why it did it right. Does that make sense? It doesn't have anything to do with the marking portion of it. It's trained to go get the birds correctly.